Okay, good morning. This is Seance with My Siblings. I'm Shandi, and I'm all alone today, so welcome to the seance. Woo! Oh, I have a Maryland cat though, if you can see, if you're watching. She's such a good baby. Kylie is sick, and Craig has too much homework, and we don't have any episodes as backup, so here I am. But I'm in my new house. Obviously, as you can see, we're in my living room. Our new studio is not set up yet, and I did not have the bandwidth to do that this morning. That was just out of the question. Anyway. Here we go. I'm going to talk about some of my own personal experiences. So let's get into it. Marilyn, no. So this is I have titled this "The Provo Cemetery, the Shitty Apartment, and My First Son Talking to Ghosts." Marilyn, stop. Jeez, she's trying to make best friends with the cords to the microphone and to my headphones. Okay. All right, here we go. Here we go. When my ex-husband and I started at the tattoo shop, we had lived in a townhouse in Provo, Utah. This townhouse was located just a few blocks away from the cemetery. This cemetery is beautiful, with well-made roads and walking paths, huge shade trees, and beautiful headstones and monuments. My young son and I spent many afternoons walking there. In my younger years, I worked at an assisted living. The assisted living from the story in this is from a book I wrote about all of my ghost experiences. Okay, by this time it had been around 3 years since I worked there, and some of the people who I had cared for had passed away. Some of them were buried there in my favorite cemetery, and after finding them on our walks, I would make sure we paid them a visit when we were at the cemetery. On a cool afternoon, my almost 1-year-old son and I were out for a walk. He was in the stroller, but I decided to let him out. He could walk pretty well at this point, and letting him get some energy out was never a bad thing. He typically stayed pretty close to me, but this day he took off running the moment his little feet touched the blacktop path. I followed him as best I could, but the clunky stroller slowed me down. Finally, catching up to him, it seemed he was frozen at one headstone and was not moving I'm sorry. It seemed he was frozen at one headstone and was not moving until I got to him. Looking at the headstone he was standing at the top of, I recognized the name. The carved decorative elements confirmed that this was one of my past residents. This man was just lovely. He had such a great personality. He always had a bad dad joke to tell, and once he got to know you, if he knew you wouldn't be offended, he would have a dirty joke to tell as well. He was a sheep herder and must have done very well for himself, because the assisted living is like ending up in millionaire estates in the game of life. A sheep camp was engraved into his headstone. That was how I knew for sure it was him. He also had a very uncommon last name for a Utahn, so this was also confirmation. One of the oddest parts of this experience was my son's behavior. He ran off ahead, which is out of his normal routine in the cemetery. He also took off again as soon as I got to the man's headstone and read it. I didn't get to spend much time visiting my old friend that day, as chasing my son became the top priority. But my past and present self were very grateful that somehow, in the thousands of headstones, my son was guided to the monument of a person who was very dear to me. Not long after this, my ex-husband and I had to sell our townhome and move into an apartment. This apartment was wild for a lot of reasons. I swear, there was people in the apartments across the parking lot from us that were running like a weird sex trafficking ring out of the apartment, and I could never quite get enough like evidence to take it to authorities. Oh, the lady underneath us was, oh, she was so awful. She was so awful. And she had this cute, cute little girl, and I would just hear her yelling and screaming at her. And I called law enforcement multiple times because this woman, the way she spoke to her child, and of course, nothing happened. Nothing happened. So, yeah, that apartment complex, oh, Lord, it was so bad. Anyway, okay. Do. So we're in the shitty apartment. The apartment was in what we thought to be an okay part of Provo, Utah. Looking back, we might have been a little misled by the appearance of how nice everything looked for the price we paid. The apartment had a lot of room, 2 big bedrooms with decently large closets, a huge hallway linen closet, a bathroom large enough for a washer and dryer, a kitchen big enough to hold a family-sized table and chairs, all for the bargain price of $525 per month. Can you imagine? This was back 2007? Yeah. Right during the recession. Okay. Upon moving in, we found the neighbor under us to be a problem. And here I talk about it, and was horrible to her little girl. The cops were called on her many times for yelling and screaming and throwing stuff around. This poor behavior was often directed at the little girl, and it was so horrible because all we could do was call the police. Oh, I'll just skip this part. I'm just talking about the sex ring. Okay. Oh, and I go on to say, let's all continue to educate ourselves about sex and forced labor trafficking. If I knew then what I know now, maybe I could have helped. Tangent over. It was in this apartment that my son had visits from a little boy and girl, and the green and blue people that came through the walls. At this point, our employer was still the tattoo shop. I had the best hours. Only working 3 days a week gave me so much time to be home with my son. He would go down for a nap every afternoon, and this is when I could finally get some work done around the apartment. The first afternoon this happened, he was just jabbering away in his crib in his room. This was odd, as usually he would start calling for me, telling me he was awake. He could speak in 3-word sentences by his first birthday. He was a very good communicator and easy to understand. Yeah, and now he has an associate's degree in chemical engineering and is in Japan learning Japanese, studying abroad for a few months. I'm so proud of him. Oh, now I'm going to cry. Ugh, getting old is hard, you guys. Okay. Hearing him happily talking away, I opened his door to see what he was doing. He was doing nothing but sitting in his crib. He stopped talking as soon as I entered the room. When I asked who he was talking to, he answered, "My little brother and little sister." Intrigued and wanting to know more about these phantom siblings, I asked him if they were from me and Dad or different parents. He said, "They are from a different mom." This kid is now 18. Well, no, now he's almost 21, and he has never had a sister. But he has 2 younger brothers, but that didn't happen until he was 5, and then the next brother was born when he was 10. This happened often at this apartment. He told me they lived in his closet. Oh God, I forgot that part. And that I cannot see them. He said that their mom was a mean mommy that used to be his mommy. Oh yeah, this kid would freak out if my hair was pulled up in a bun. He would cry. Oh, it was the weirdest thing. I remember the first time it happened. He lost his shit. Yeah, and it was like a particular kind of bun. Like I could wear a ponytail, I could wear, but like a kind of neater, like a ballerina bun. Oh, he was not having it. It was so weird. He would never say why this was so distressing to him. I have always wondered if that was how his mean mommy wore her hair. The little brother and sister continued to come around until he was almost 4. Even after we moved a few more times, they were still coming to visit him. The blue and green people came around a few months after he began talking to the little boy and little girl. He first talked to them when He first talked about them when I asked him if he had been visiting with his little brother and sister. He said, "No, I am talking to the blue and green people who come in through the wall." That freaked me the fuck out. Seriously creepy kid, seeing blue and green people. Keeping my composure, I said something like, "Oh, how nice. Let's go outside and play." The blue and green people could be so many different things. Aliens, spirits that were never human, maybe even human spirits, who knows? In that same craptastic apartment, I saw the apparition of a hand instead of a full body. I saw just the hand. My now ex-husband worked nights at a food manufacturing company while he finished up his apprenticeship at the tattoo shop. It would be just me and my son home some evenings from around 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. My bedroom door would be left partially open, so my son sleeping across the hall could be heard if he needed anything. This night, for some unknown reason, I suddenly woke up and turned over to face the doorway instead of having my back to it. My eyes focused on the doorway and noticed a man's hand curled around the door. A very solid, very real-looking man's hand. My first thought was that my husband was home early, because a quick glance at the alarm clock said it was only 2:30. Not time for him to be home. Calling out his name and becoming more fully awake, the hand let go of the door. Thinking he just went into the living room, I got up and followed him. However, the living room was empty, no lights, no husband. Walking to the bathroom and flipping the light on, it too was empty. Freaking out a little, I hustled to the living room and turned the light on and checked that the front door was still locked while looking directly into the kitchen where the light above the sink was left on, dimly illuminating the whole room. The kitchen was void of any humans. So this all happened within just short moments. Like, this didn't drag out for minutes and minutes. So panicking, I raced to my son's room and opened the door. The room was lit by his nightlight, and he was safely asleep, and his room was blessedly empty of any intruders. My mind raced, thinking about what could have just happened. There was no one in the apartment but me and a small boy. Neither of us have large man hands. I tried to go back to sleep, but tossed and turned until my ex-husband got home for real. I relayed to him what happened, and he said it was probably just a dream, or it could be a spirit. After that day, I would notice the shadow of a man in the hallway. Remember, this hallway was just a little square with a closet and the 2 doorways that led to the bedrooms, not a large space at all. He seemed to stay there, not going anywhere else in the apartment. He didn't seem malicious or malevolent. He seemed sad and almost like he just liked to watch my little family go about our daily lives. He never again manifested as a solid hand, just hanging onto the door. He always appeared as a shadow from that point on. I know that shadow people in general are thought of to be negative entities, and from what others have experienced, I agree they can be. However, this man didn't seem menacing. If my son ever saw him, he didn't say anything about it. This particular shadow person didn't cause any problems or hurt anyone. When we moved out of the apartment, he didn't follow us, and I haven't seen him since. After living in that apartment for just over a year, it was 2008, the recession was in full swing, and we couldn't afford rent as I was out of work, and my then husband was working nights at a Maverick because the tattoo shop had gone under. No more haunted tattoo shops and no more shadow man in the apartment. We traded this in for the mimic in my mother's Springville house. Ooh, let's just take a moment right now to just protect ourselves. Oh, that house, whatever was in that basement, I don't want it. It is not welcome here. It is not welcome anywhere near anyone listening to this. We are protected. Nothing can enter into our spaces that are not allowed. And that thing can stay the fuck away from me forever and ever. Okay, let's proceed. The mimic in my mother's Springville house. My mother wasn't doing well at all. She hid her drinking for a long time and was a closeted alcoholic for years. But at this time, the family had known for a couple years now, and she had been to rehab a few times. I'm sorry, I need to get my water. This is wild. Being the only one talking is difficult. I don't know how you single podcast people do it. It's rough. It's rough out here. She offered to let us live with her. She said we could live there rent-free for a while, just helping around the house and buying food. We ended up only lasting there for 2 months because of it being some of it being difficulties living with an active alcoholic, and other things being the mimic and the fear my husband and son had in that house. When we were moving my son's stuff into his bedroom, we thought it would be a good idea, and his bedroom was my old bedroom. So the one where I got my foot pulled, if you remember me talking about that. I think I made a TikTok of it. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, and I talked about it on a podcast that hasn't come out yet. That isn't ours. We were on Jaunty Haunts. So anyway, let's see. So we wanted a baby monitor because his room was down a different hall in a different part of the basement from us, and I wanted to make sure I could hear him. So we bought a brand new baby monitor, and it worked fine when we tested it. However, it quickly became a problem. The receiver in my son's room would turn itself off, making it so the receiver in our room was also useless. This was not one of the newer monitors that come with video and night vision. It was just a simple device that works almost like a walkie-talkie that only goes from the baby's room to the parent's receiver. This thing plugged straight into the outlet. Oh, and it wasn't connected to the internet or anything like that. This was not a high-tech gadget by any means. This thing plugged straight into the outlet, so it wasn't dead batteries. You had to physically twist a knob to turn it off and on. I find it difficult to believe an inanimate object can turn its own knob when it is not designed to do so. After the first week of being in the house and the monitor always turning off, we gave up. I started to put my son down for naps in my bed so I could sit in the front room or the laundry room and still hear him. He hated his room for good reasons, besides the monitor, the mimic that came to visit him. The first time the mimic scared my son, we had been at my mother's home for less than a week. Oh yeah, I say it here. His room was my old windowless room that shared a wall with the laundry room. We tried to have his baby monitor on, but it wouldn't work right when we moved in, no matter how we... Okay. So giving up on that, we just had to keep his door cracked open so we could hear him across the basement to our room. My ex and I had just put him down for bed, and we were just talking and watching TV. It hadn't been more than 20 minutes when we heard our son let out the most fearful and terrible scream. My heart fell out of my butt. My ex and I both jumped up and ran to our son. He was sobbing. He was almost 3 at this time. We scooped him up and carried him into the family room. It took a substantial amount of time for the crying to subside enough for him to talk. In that quavery voice, that one has after a good cry, he managed to say, "Mean Grandma," we'll say her name now, she's dead. Mean Grandma Julie came in and looked over my crib. Her face was mean and angry. We were dumbfounded. Afraid and confused about what was happening, the 3 of us went into my husband's and I's bedroom and huddled together on the bed. My husband begged me to get rid of whatever had scared our son. Oh, Marilyn, she is getting cozy. I have no idea why he thought that was a thing I could do. I said a prayer, asking my higher power to protect us. At the time I wrote this has been a few years since I've written this. I don't think I knew I had been working with Hecate all along. I just thought this, mother goddess type being, like a generic no-name goddess. That's all, mother goddess, whatever. But now we know it was Hecate all along. Or Hecate, whatever. You can say it how you want to. Okay. Okay, so... and telling the mimic it cannot come in any room we are in. It felt like it worked. The mimic typically left me and my son alone from that time going forward. It did not leave my then husband alone. I have my thoughts about why. He would continue to have experiences. He was in the house alone one day, and he was walking into our son's room. He said he felt like someone was watching him. He looked down the hallway and saw my mother standing at the entrance to the laundry room at the end of the hall. He said she was scowling and giving off the most hateful feeling energy, projecting it toward him. He ran upstairs and stayed there until our son and I got home. He never felt comfortable to stay in the basement alone again. and it was a relief when we moved out. It was so odd. The mimic was a heavy, oppressive feeling presence. Many people have expressed that something is not right in the basement of the house. Since the night I prayed and told it that it cannot be in the room I am in, somehow it worked. I could feel it looming but not entering a room until I left. I could feel it retreat into the laundry room when I came into the house. It skulked around, hiding out, but not breaking the boundary I set. There was nothing I knew to do to get it to leave, but it was good to know that I could make it stay away from my son and myself. So this was such a long time ago. I was only in my early 20s. I didn't know what I know now. And even knowing what I know now, I think it would take, who knows, because that thing, I don't even know. I don't know if it was attached to my mom, attached to that house, but as the years progressed since we first moved in, I was in the 4th grade when we first moved into that house in Springville. As the years progressed, it got stronger and stronger, and that is when my mom's mental illness, eating disorder, and alcoholism got worse and worse and worse. Yeah, make of that what you will. Let us know your thoughts and opinions. Oh, is my... Okay. My microphone's probably a little too loud. Don't want to bust everybody's earbuds. Okay, here we go. Ouch. Oh, is that all? Oh, okay. Well, I guess that's all the stories about that. Let's see, was there anything else in that basement? So this is like, is it still dial-up internet times? I'm not sure. But the computer was in the laundry room. The laundry room was huge. It was like, you could have put a ping pong table in there. So big. And it also didn't have any windows, just like the bedroom next to it. And I would be in there doing work. I was doing slumber parties at the time. You know, the sex toy company that you go and have a party at someone's house and, yeah, sell sex toys to women. It was fun. I was really good at it. I wish the recession wouldn't have fucked that up for me because, yeah, I was really good at it and it was really good money until no one had money to buy sex toys. So, and I was just getting started, so I didn't have like a dedicated group of people to book parties with yet. Anyway, my computer's disgusting. Oh, life is wild. I'm just gonna go off on a personal tangent now. In my new house that I love, I put those shelves up by myself. If you're watching this, go look on YouTube. I got some clear acrylic shelves for my dolls, and I still have so many more boxes of dolls. I need like probably, let's say 20 more shelves because they're small and I have a lot of dolls and some of them have weird shaped boxes. Anyway, oh, life has been wild. So I was a CNA, a medical assistant. I managed a tattoo shop and did body piercing there. I worked as a psych tech and a secretary at the Utah State Hospital for 7.5 years, and that's where I finished my undergraduate in human services management and got a master's degree in clinical mental health counseling. And it was at that job at the state hospital that I got brave enough to kick my ex-husband out of my house. I'd moved down to Fountain Green to be near my beautiful, loving, wonderful, supportive family and my beautiful, loving, wonderful, supportive parents that helped me with a little 5-month-old baby and a 5-year-old. Oh, I'm a mess. I'm sorry. So, yeah, life is wild, you guys. I want to hear about your lives, too, and your ghost stories. Did you ever think you would have so many career changes at one point, like in your life? Because I feel like as little kids, we think, oh, well, I'll go do this and then I'll do that forever until I drop dead. But that is just not the way. That is not how things work for most of us. Um, I am in a new house because I, me and Peter are divorcing. We're still good friends. We still care about each other a lot, and we are trying to be the best co-parents possible. And we still hang out. He's still wonderful, good friends with my family, and they love him, and I think that's fabulous. And yeah, so it's weird, like so many changes, and ugh, life is wild. So yeah, I think we're done with ghost stories for the day. Please send us your ghost stories. We're on all the socials at Seance with My Siblings. You can send your stories to seancewithmysiblings@gmail.com. And I hope everyone's doing okay. Let's take our meds. Let's drink our water. Let's touch some grass. Let's take care of our mental health. Let's not watch the news 24/7 on loop. Take some mental health breaks from the horrors that are happening around us. And I will talk with you. We will come back next week, and hopefully it will be all three of us. Ooh, side tangent. I got a new tarot deck. It came in the mail just a few days ago. It's from a podcast called Morbid. Just a little teeny podcast. You know, they're not famous and go on tours and all sorts of cool stuff. And they haven't interviewed Tobias Forge, I think, twice. Yeah, they're cool. I aspire to have a life similar to theirs one day when I grow up. But anyway, this tarot deck is gorgeous. If you also got one, let me know. If you are looking, if you're watching, it's got a planchette on the cover. It's all gold and white and green. Beautiful. I want to do my living room in these colors, I think. Let me know. This gray is just not working for me, but I'm not sure what I want to do yet. Anyway, so yeah, Morbid Tarot deck is so cool. I'll have to use this when it's my turn to pull for our monthly reading next time. Anyway, I hope everyone is doing okay. Stay safe out there, and listen to us next week when we probably talk about elementals, most likely. That or aliens. We'll see. All right. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.